What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my Draftkings MMA picks for UFC Fight Night, Jessica I versus Cynthia Calvillo. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Draftkings video coming off of my second best card from profit-wise last week. I know it was a very, very tough card, especially when all the chalk bust. Like Sandhagen was 40%, scored like 0 points. Was not expecting Sandhagen to get up that high. I went about 30% Sandhagen, 25% Sterling. Chase Hooper was like close to 50%. Menefield was very chalky. All these really good plays did bust. I was saying it in the Discord all week that I was not feeling this Chase Hooper play. I think it is a trap. I think it's a trap. It's such a good play on paper. So I did end up having 45% Hooper because it was a really good play, obviously. But I did have 35% Caceres, and that was triple the field. Caceres was like 12% owned, basically due to him not scoring well on DraftKings ever and him, getting submitted so much. And Hooper is a submission guy. I mean, it looked really, really good on paper, but after you watch the tape, it's so tough to picture Chase Hooper having any success on the feet. And if Hooper did not get Caceres down, it'd be a very long night, and it sure was. So I did end up going 3% Ian Heinisch, which that won me the 150 max $1. The smaller one, there was a 15,000 people one, and there was a 70,000 person one. I took down the 15,000 person one. Shared it with one other person, which was awesome. Usually there's a bunch more ties. I had Amanda Nunez in that lineup, and then everybody else was like 20% or less in there. So like Ian Heinisch, Alex Perez, Caceres was in there, Patola was in there. All those guys were 20% or less. And my cash lineup hit with 3 underdogs losing. That's how you know it's one of those weird weeks. Ended up having Nunez, O'Malley, and Gilbert Burns in there, and cash hit with Mearshart in there. He got finished very, very early. Rocco Martin was in there, did not score well, and another underdog in there. Kelleher was in there, scored okay for a loss, but 3 losses and cash hit. My single hit, I went with Caceres in single. Wanted to be different. I'm assuming Hooper was like 56% owned in single. Ended up getting Caceres at 8% owned in single. So cash pretty nicely in single. I had Nunez, O'Malley, and Caceres in there at really low ownership. But yeah, I was saying it in Discord all week. Hooper, I'm not feeling good about it. But you had to play him because obviously he had a very nice path to victory. But hopefully another good week this week for me. Hopefully you guys survived last week. I know it was a very, very tough card. A lot of people did not make it out alive. You had to get really lucky. Hedge the best plays. Play some Patolo. Really like Patolo. Play some Caceres. Maybe throw some Ian Heinisch in there. Nobody played Ian Heinisch because it obviously was a very bad play on paper. He's never scored well. He's never done that in his UFC career. So a very tough fight to call there. But hopefully a better week this week. We'll start with the fight does not go to decision lines here. Minner versus Griffin minus 265. Fight does not go to decision. I like this fight a lot. I like to target this fight a lot because I do think this fight is probably going to end inside the second round, early second round. Minner's going to come out here and try to finish the fight early. That's what we want out of an underdog. And then Griffin is always able to weather the storm and probably submit Minner. We've seen it happen before. We've seen Griffin submit Minner before. Minner was looking really good in that fight, but Griffin ended up catching Minner on something. And that seems to be the story of Minner's life. Come out very fast, gets submitted. He's been submitted 8 times in his career. So a fight you're going to want to target both sides. Someone's getting finished in this fight. Ivy Aguilera minus 230. Fight does not go to decision. Fight I really want to target for a couple reasons. It's going to be really low owned. It's the first fight of the night. And nobody knows who these fighters are. So again, that's going to take off some ownership. I think, these guys are going to be very low owned. I think Ivy's going to be the more popular guy, the more popular play. Aguilera is going to be lower owned, probably like 15%. Ivy probably like 25, 30% would be pushing it there. But low owned for these guys and very good plays here. Someone's going to get finished, I believe. Minus 235 does not go to decision. I'll give you my take on it in a little bit, but this is definitely a fight I want to target both sides. Avila Mazzani minus 145 does not go to decision. I do think Avila has a very good chance to finish the fight here. Don't see Mazzani finishing the fight, but Avila, I do think she can definitely finish the fight. She has good power. Feely Jordan plus 125. I don't necessarily think this is going to finish. I would not be surprised if it did, but a fight I do want to target. It's in that kind of mid-range. They're gonna fight. It's gonna be a probably fight of the night here. I think it's gonna be a really good fight. It's either that or Victoria Roberson could be fight of the night as well. But Feely, Jourdain, they're both gonna bring it. Jourdain's gonna bring it. I think Feely can get takedowns. Don't really necessarily see it finishing, but could see a Feely sub or a Feely knockout or a Jourdain knockout as well. So something you want to target there, especially since in that mid range, it's easy to get in your lineups. Core plays, you got Merab Dvalishvili, 9,200. My favorite play, one of my favorite guys to play on DraftKings. We've seen him get like 12 or 13 takedowns his last fight against Casey Kenny. Ray Borg does not have very good takedown defense at all. Merab does not have a very good control game on top, so I do think Borg can get back up. Merab can take him back down. I honestly think Merab's going to probably set his personal best takedown record in the UFC. I think he's going to get like 14 or 15 takedowns, maybe 4 or 5 a round. Borg's just so easy to take down. We've seen Simone take him down very easily, and I do think Merab's going to do the same thing. Don't like this matchup for Borg. I love it for Merab here. As long as he does not get submitted, he's going to win this fight. He's going to dominate this fight and probably get a 30-27 decision and score over 100 points on DraftKings. But yeah, love Merab quite a bit. Cash GPP. Andre Feely touched on it a little bit. 8,600 right in that mid-range. I do think there's going to be some volume. I do think if he comes out here and fights smart, he's going to go for takedowns. He's going to try to get a submission because that's where his biggest advantage here in this fight is the ground game. Huge advantage on the ground here. If he can get takedowns, which I do think he can, he's going to have a lot of success, and I do think he's live for that submission. Other than that, if it stays on the feet, I like him on the feet as well. I think he's better everywhere compared to Jourdain. Jourdain's very dangerous. We saw what Jourdain did to Duho Choi his last fight. I was all over that. Jourdain at 6,900. He was very low owned. Everybody was on Duho Choi. But yeah, Feely, 8,600. I like it. I like the mid-range price. I do think there is upside, whether it's finish upside or a decision upside, scoring well with takedowns, advances, some volume as well. So give me Feely at 8,600 as a core play. Julia Avila, 9,300. I think this is a big mismatch. I think she's going to get her out here. I think she's going to finish in the fight in the first and second round. She throws with a lot of power. She's a finisher, and we've seen Gina Mazzani get finished before. Gina Mazzani's been finished in 2 of her 3 fights in the UFC, so I do think she's going to be finished again once more by Julia Avila here. Yeah, the price 9,300 is going to be tough. It's going to be tough because there are not many underdogs this week, and I'll get into it a little bit. But there are not many underdogs this week that have a chance, in my opinion. Honestly, I like the punt plays better than the underdogs this week. That's how bad it is. So lineup construction is going to be very weird. Honestly, can make a case that a loser could be in the winning lineup if none of these underdogs win. But maybe one does, and I'll get to them in a little bit. But the underdogs are not looking good this week. Kevin Aguilar, 8,400. I like him a lot in the spot. That's why he's a core play. Don't necessarily see him, scoring, 100 plus points, but I do like him here. I like him to win the matchup. I do think he can stuff the takedowns of Charles Rosa. When it's on the feet, he hits very, very hard. I do think he's live for a knockout. Charles Rosa has been knocked out before. I think he's just a better overall fighter on the feet. If he gets taken down, which I don't think is going to happen, he could be in some trouble. But Aguilar is very, very strong. Has very, very good takedown defense. He's like 85%, 90% takedown defense, something like that. So don't really see Aguilar getting taken down, and that's why I love the matchup for him so much here. And I do think Charles Rose is on the decline as well. GPP plays, Anthony Ivy, 9,000. Like I said earlier in the video, this is a fight I'm going to want to target. It's going to be low-owned, and the low-owned fights win the money. And this fight's probably going to score very high. 9,000, not in love with the price tag, but I do think he has potential to finish this fight. We've seen Aguilar knocked out 5 times. Aguilar's never been submitted, but I do think Ivy can take down Aguilar, get him on the mat, and then land some really good ground and pound. He's a really good ground and pound, throws really hard. I do think Aguilar might try for some takedowns as well, but I think Ivy's okay off his back. I think he maybe can get a sweep or maybe land something off his back as a submission-wise. But, yeah, I like Ivy here to win the fight, but I'm going to be playing both sides because, as we know, both of these guys are coming in first fight of their UFC career. Aguilar's definitely more tested, definitely has the most fights on his record. but I think Ivy's the more skilled fighter overall. So I do like Ivy for that reason. I do think he can finish this fight with some ground and pound. Jordan Griffin, 8,900. I like this. I like this play quite a bit. I think he is going to go a little bit under owned because there is going to be a lot of people on Minner because there are not many underdogs this week, and Minner's a very interesting underdog. If you guys watched the Jordan Griffin Minner fight, Minner was looking very, very good until he got caught in a submission, which is pretty much a story of Minner's life. So Minner's going to come out here, try to end the fight in the first round. If he doesn't, he's going to lose. Simple as that. So target both sides. I think Griffin's live for a submission in either round, first, second, or third. But Minner's definitely going to come out there and he's going to try to finish that fight, and that's what you want on DraftKings. You want somebody that's going to come out here and try to get the fight done. So targeting both sides, but Griffin's definitely a fine play, and I do think he's going to go a little bit under-owned. Maria Agapova, I will be breaking this fight down a little bit more on Friday. I am going live on Friday, so come check that out. Make sure you subscribe so you do not miss out on Friday. Going to be breaking down the fights for my final thoughts, going over DraftKings, going over betting. So come jump in the chat, ask me any question you want. Just some extra content for you guys. Going to be doing that every Friday from now on, probably around 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, around there. So just going to be giving my final thoughts on fights. Like there's a new fight added. Benoit actually had to pull out, so it is now Zaruk Adeshev. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but Zaruk versus Tyson Nam. I will give my final thoughts on that. I just started looking into Zaruk. Give you my thoughts right now. He looks like he brings the fight. He's going to bring the fight. He's going to throw volume, and that's more than you can say about Tyson Nam. I'm assuming Zaruk's going to be an underdog, so that's something we're looking at there. He does hit hard. He does have some power. He has a kickboxing background, but he's fought some low-level competition, so it's going to be interesting to see him against Tyson Nam. But definitely something to look at, and I'll give you guys my final thoughts Friday on the live video. But Maria Agapova, don't have a salary for her yet. DraftKings is slacking, but I do think she has power. She's a finisher, and she has a very nice height and reach advantage. Cyphers is tough, but I do think she can finish Cyphers here. Cyphers has been finished quite a bit in her UFC career. So yeah, I do like Agapova here. Hopefully they put her in like the 8,800 range. 8,700 would be very nice. I'd have a good amount of her. If she gets up to 9,100, would be a little bit less interested, but still take a look at Agapova here. Like I said, she's a finisher. She's going to try to finish the fight. She hits hard, and I do think she can get Cyphers out of there, but I do think the fight could be close at times. It's just going to be really hard to seeing Cypher get in on the inside of that big reach advantage of Agapova. So something to look at there. Jessica I, 8,300. Honestly, not in love with the main event. If I was like 8,700, 8,800, 8,900 up there, I would be fading this fight completely. But she is 8,300, so we have to take a look. It is 5 rounds. I do think Jessica I wins here. Calvia is going to be coming up a weight class, which I think is going to benefit Jessica I so much because I is already big for the weight class. I is going to have a big size advantage. I think she's going to be able to stuff the takedowns. I think she's the far better striker on the feet. Calvia is not bad, but I do think I is the better fighter on the feet. So I think I is going to win the decision here. Honestly, I'd rather play Calvia in DraftKings. I does not score well whatsoever. She scores like 70 points in a 3-round decision usually. So if it's 5, maybe she scores 90. And is that enough to get in the winning lineup? It might be this week, actually. So you're going to want to target this fight as bad as it sounds. You're going to want to target this fight because it is in that range where you're going to need to play some plays down here. So Jessica I, 8,300. Don't love it, but I'm going to play some of it. Marvin Vettori, 8,800, going against Carl Roberson. I think this play is really sneaky. At first, when I looked over this fight a couple months ago, like a month ago actually, I did think this fight was a lot closer. I thought it was kind of like a wrestler versus striker, grappler versus striker. Vettori being the grappler and Roberson being the striker. But Vettori has finished like 62% of his fights by submission. Vettori's not bad on the feet as well. But now that I look more into it, I think this fight's a little bit more lopsided than I originally thought. I do agree with the line of Vettori being a minus 200 favorite. I think he can, hang with Roberson on the feet. I think Roberson's the better on the feet. I think Roberson has more power, but Vettori's very tough. I think if Vettori goes for takedowns, he definitely can finish his fight with a submission. We've seen Roberson, that submission game be his weakness. So Roberson has been submitted twice before. I do think it could happen here again. Not something I'm overly interested in because I do think that if it goes to decision, Vettori's going to bust. So just like if he gets a submission, he's going to maybe break the slate. He's going to be really low owned. That's something else to think about as well. All right, live dogs. Cynthia Calvillo, 7,900. I honestly rather play Calvillo over I in DraftKings, although I am picking I to win because I do see a path to victory for Calvillo. I just think it's going to be tough for her to get takedowns, but she could get takedowns. Would not be surprised at all. Maybe she has, improved her wrestling a little bit. It's just really hard to see her taking down I, being the smaller fighter coming up a weight class. But it could happen. Her striking is not bad. I think in a 5-round fight, she's not going to get finished, so I love this play for cash. She's not going to get finished. She's going to go all 5 rounds. There's going to be some good volume. As for stacking in cash, I mean, it's right in that mid-range. I do think it goes all 5 rounds. If this fight does finish, it's going to be Calvillo getting the finish. So maybe that's why I like Calvillo more as the play on DraftKings. 7,900, you're getting a $400 discount. Path to victory's there. It's just I don't really see it happening, but it definitely could happen. It's women's MMA. Anything can happen. The smaller cage there could benefit Calvillo a little bit. Maybe getting on the inside, landing some takedowns. Definitely could see it. And yeah, so don't mind the play at all. Charles Jourdain, 7,600. I mean, he has a chance to get a knockout here against Feely. I just think it's pretty, I wouldn't say unlikely, but I just don't see it happening. I think Feely's a better fighter everywhere. But I am going to target some Jourdain because he is going to come to fight. He's going to come to try to finish the fight as well. So for that reason, somebody I'm going to want to play just for the upside. Obviously, he's going to be he's going to be pretty high owned because he does have that upside and there's not much down here. So I'm going to have some of him for that reason. Carl Roberson, 7,400. Co-main event, I think this could be a little high owned for Roberson because he does have a path to victory, keeping this on the feet, laying in the harder shots. Maybe he knocks out Vettori. Maybe Vettori gasses. Maybe Vettori comes out there trying to knock Roberson's head off. We saw the beef with them in the hotel lobby. Vettori was very, very mad. Hopefully, maybe he brings that into the cage there and tries to knock Roberson's head off, which I think would only benefit Roberson on the feet there. But yeah, Roberson's fine. He's a fine play. I like the price tag there. I do think he could maybe get a knockout. It's just so tough to see. Vettori's very, very tough. Don't really see that happening, but it could happen. If he keeps us on the feet, it could be very close. If Vettori does not want to go for takedowns, it could be a very close fight. So it's all about what game plan Vettori brings in here for me. If he comes out here trying to strike with Roberson, it could be a very close 50-50 fight. If he comes out here trying to grapple with Roberson, that's when you'd see Vettori look like a minus 200 favorite. But Vettori's gassing does worry me a little bit, so I'm going to play some Roberson at 7,400. Mark De La Rosa, not the best play in the world whatsoever. Has lost 3 in a row. It's just, I think this fight is 50-50. You got Espinoza versus De La Rosa. I'm not high on Espinoza at all. I think Espinoza is the more athletic fighter. I think he hits very hard. Don't really see him knocking out De La Rosa, but it could happen. De La Rosa is going to need to get this on the ground. And Espinoza has pretty decent takedown defense. And Mark De La Rosa has like a 15% takedown accuracy, so that's very scary there. But yeah, I don't mind a play on Mark De La Rosa just because I think there's not many underdogs. And I do think this fight's a lot closer than the line indicates. Even there's money coming out of Mark De La Rosa. The line is closing up a little bit, so yeah, don't mind a shot on it. If he does get it to the ground, I do think he's very, very live for a submission, like very live. But he needs to get it to the ground, and is he going to even try to get it to the ground? I don't know. Does not have great wrestling. But if he does get it to the ground, I do like his chances quite a bit. Pump plays, like I said, I like the pump plays a little bit more than I like the underdog plays this week. Derek Minner, 7,300. He's going to fight for your money. He's going to come out here trying to finish the fight in the first round. It's either he's going to come out here and get a first round submission, he's going to come out there and get submitted in late first round, early second round when he's gassed out. But yeah, somebody you're going to want to target here. Derek Minner, I think he's going to be very, very popular. I see a lot of people picking Minner actually because he did have success against Griffin, but that's pretty much the story of Minner's life. He comes out here hard, fast, ends up getting caught in something. So I think that's what's going to happen again, but maybe he does get Jordan Griffin out of there. I mean, we've seen Griffin dominated before, but Griffin came back in his last fight and got the second round submission. I think that something like that's going to happen this week as well. But yeah, Minner's something I'm looking at. Christian Aguilera, 7,200. I like this play for 2 reasons. Going to be low owned, and I do think there's a lot of upside here. He has a lot of finishes on his record, or he has like 5 knockout losses as well. But I do think he has a good strike. If he keeps us on the feet, it could be very, very close. I just think this is going to hit the mat at some time. I think he can even get takedowns of his own in this fight, which I would not recommend for him going on the ground with a guy like Ivy. But I do think he can get takedowns. Maybe he'll try for them. If he keeps us on the feet, I do think he's live for a knockout. Ivy's never been knocked out. Ivy has been submitted twice. Aguilera's not going to submit him or nothing, but it's a fine play. Just ownership reasons. Just go over the weight on the field. He's going to be about 15% owned. Nobody's going to have this guy. Nobody knows who he is. It's the first fight of the night. Just put a sprinkle in there just in case, because both these guys are making their UFC debut. We don't know much about either of them, so don't mind it at 7,200 at all. Faves just got one. Gina Mazzani, 6,900. Do not like her chances whatsoever in this fight. Vila's like minus 500 now. And I got to mention this. Become a member of my Patreon to receive full access to my model, a customizable optimizer with an example cash lineup, premium projections, GPP lineup percentages, premium breakdown and strategy video, Draftkings article, and also Discord chat, which I think is probably the best feature and the best value out of it, because I'm in there all the time. I'm in there saying things like, Hooper, make sure you hedge it with some Caceres. Hooper does not have the best striking. If Hooper does not get this down, it's going to be a very, very long night for Hooper. And that's exactly what happened. So I do say things in the chat, like every week, like every day. We talk about fights and stuff. So, and we also talk on fight night and everything. So make sure you guys sign up for that. I'll get you in the Discord. Put the link in the description there. Also, just to mention it once more, I'll be going live on Friday around like 7 p.m. Eastern time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Don't want to go any later than that, but come ask questions, come with a lot of questions. I'll be ready to answer any question you got. DraftKings, betting, final thoughts. I'll give all my final thoughts on the fight. I'll go over weigh-ins as well, so you do not want to miss out on that. So make sure you subscribe so you do not miss out on that, and put the notification bell on. Good luck this week. Hopefully another good week.